Okay, Flora. The last time we met, we discussed some of the stuff that's going on with your family and in your life, especially the situation that's affecting your husband right now. You said you were feeling very stressed and worried. So how are you feeling today?
I'm doing a little better. We're still waiting to see if the lawyers are able to help Dad with his petition to stay. When it's just the four of us, I'm happy because we're together.
Okay. Well, I'm glad y'all are getting to spend time together as a family. Can you tell me a bit about how your day-to-day life is going?
It's okay. Eric goes to school, but the rest of us stay in the church. We pray and read. My son and husband watch TV sometimes, but I can't. The news is too much for me to handle right now.
Okay. What about the news is too much to handle?
I see the stories. The agents come to pick people up. They take them to they take them from their children. They call people good, decent, hardworking people criminals. They think my husband is a criminal. I am a criminal.
And why do you say that?
Well, that's what the government says. Somebody said my husband was a criminal because he didn't check in with the office back in October. He always checks in. I don't know why they lie. This is America. It's supposed to be welcoming and fair here.
Okay. Do you feel like a criminal?
I didn't. I don't think so. But it's all over TV, the computer, phones.
Okay. Yeah, it's very overwhelming to hear these kind of comments, and you hear it sometimes, and it seems like it's all over the place. And whenever these kind of comments get a reaction, they just get magnified, and it represents a very small number of people. And the most people don't feel that way. But have you experienced any of these kinds of feelings whenever your interpersonal relationships, like whenever you're talking to other people?
No, the people here at the church and in the lawyer's office are very nice to us. I'm too scared to talk to anyone else outside of them and some longtime friends. When I hear hateful statements about immigrants, I feel I feel this strong pain in my stomach, my chest, my neck gets tight, becomes hard to breathe. It's my fault we're in this position. Everything is such a mess.
Okay. Do you remember those breathing exercises we discussed last time?
Yeah, they help. I just need to remind myself sometimes to breathe.
Okay. Well, so I wanted to kind of discuss a therapy with you. It's something that I practice, and it might help you with your anxiety and your depression, and it's called cognitive behavioral therapy. Have you heard of it before?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So, cognitive behavioral therapy, sometimes it's called CBT for short. It was developed in the 1960s by a psychiatrist named Dr. Aaron Beck, and it's really popular for a lot of conditions because it's been shown to be effective, and it helps clients improve their moods and learn different skills to manage their feelings and their emotions. And because sometimes the feelings are just so overwhelming, we feel like we lose control and we can't change anything. Do you have any of these kinds of feelings?
It's happening more these days. I try to tell myself that God will protect me and my family, but it's hard not to feel it, it's too much.
Okay. And I mean, I did want to mention that it's not uncommon for people who have a chronic illness diagnosis, like your multiple sclerosis, to have mood issues and problems like depression. And then whenever you add in stress on top of it, like what's going on with your husband and your family, it makes it worse. So CBT helps us with understanding how our thoughts and our feelings are interconnected, and how we can get a hold of those thoughts before they start to affect us physically and emotionally. Does that sound like something you might be interested in trying?
I think I can do that. Is it hard?
It's not hard to do. It will meet once a week for an hour. In between our weekly sessions, you'll have an assignment of sorts to do, and you can practice. It'll give you a chance to practice the skills that we're talking about during our sessions. And the more you practice these skills, the more automatic they become. And like you were mentioning about having to remind yourself to breathe whenever you start feeling that panic. Um, and so that way it makes that anxiety pain go away. So when you practice the skills, it becomes almost automatic that you'll start doing those breathing exercises, and it'll relieve the anxiety because then you'll recognize the thoughts make you feel a certain way, and then you'll recognize which ones make you feel more anxious. And it sounds kind of complicated to explain, but we're going to practice it together. And the more practice you have, the better chance that your mood's going to improve and you're not going to feel as overwhelmed by everything that's going on right now.
You'll help me?
Yeah, yeah. We're going to do this together. Um, so let's try something real quick, okay? So our thoughts influence our emotions. So what do you think about automatically when you hear bad things about immigrants, like that they're criminals?
I think that people hate us, that people are looking at me and they don't like me.
Okay. So how does that make you feel emotionally when you have these thoughts?
I feel embarrassed. I feel ashamed. Sometimes I feel scared because I don't know if anyone's going to try to hurt me.
Okay. And so these thoughts make you feel embarrassed and scared?
Yeah, mostly I feel sad. Well, I feel sad lots of times. This makes the sadness worse.
Okay. So the thoughts make you feel a certain way. Do you notice that your body reacts a certain way? Like maybe you're not even thinking about it and you have these reactions?
I tense up. My chest starts to hurt. It's hard to breathe. I feel like throwing up. I usually try to leave the room so I don't hear things anymore.
Okay. And do you notice that there's any certain behaviors that go along with these feelings and these thoughts?
I cry. I hide from my family so they aren't worried.
Okay. So you isolate yourself and you cry. Do you have any safe spots where you go so that way you can let out these feelings?
I go to our bedroom. It's the only place where it's either just me or me and my husband.
Okay. So I don't know if you're seeing this. So you have those thoughts and they're connected to these feelings and then they go to these physical reactions. And then you notice these behaviors. And then there's also the environment. So the environment can influence all these other parts because if it's supportive or it's not supportive, um, it can affect how all these other things interact. Does this make sense?
I never thought of it that way. It does seem all connected.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how they all work together, and if you can improve one part of it, it influences all the other things, and so we can work on it together, and through the course of our sessions, and we can figure out what kind of changes can be made so that your emotions they can start to change for in a more positive manner. Okay.
I'd like to try that. I think it would be beneficial.
Okay. So I mentioned that each week you'll have an assignment of sorts, and the more you practice these skills, the better the outcome's going to be. So for this week, I want you to track your mood. So I'm going to give you a sheet, and it's going to have the days of the week, and it's going to be broken down into hours. And so I want you to rate your mood and your level of depression on a scale from 0 to 100. and we're going to see if there's any fluctuations throughout the day. And then there's also a space next to it so you can know what kind of activities you're doing, and so we can see if there's any patterns between the activities you're doing and how your mood is. And do you think this is something you can do?
I think so. It seems like a lot.
It, it's kind of hard to get started, but once you start noticing the patterns, you see how beneficial it is to just sort of track everything down. Um, it'll become easier to do. So, did you have any other questions today?
No, I think I can do this.
Okay. Okay, great. So we're going to make an appointment for next week, and we'll go over your tracking sheet. Um, and if there's anything that goes on before the next time we meet, just go ahead and call me, and we can talk about stuff if you need to. Okay?
Okay.